The champagne flutes clinked with cruel precision as Sarah Chen's former classmates passed around their phones, each screen displaying the same Facebook message they'd sent her. "Can't wait to see what you've been up to." Read the text, but the group chat told a different story. "Remember how she wore those thrift store clothes? Still probably living in her mom's basement. This is going to be hilarious." They had no idea that the woman they'd once called scholarship, Sarah, was about to land on the country club lawn in a way that would shatter every assumption they'd ever made about success, worth, and the true measure of a human being. The bass thumped through the decorated ballroom as Meridian High School's class of 2014 gathered for their 10-year reunion. The event had all the trappings of suburban success: designer dresses, luxury car keys casually placed on tables, and conversations that sounded more like resume readings than genuine reconnections. Jessica Martinez, former cheerleading captain and current real estate agent, smoothed her silk dress and checked her watch. "She should be here any minute," she whispered to Brad Thornton, who'd traded his quarterback jersey for a finance job and a receding hairline. "I told her the party started at 7 specifically." They'd spent weeks planning this moment. Sarah Chen had been an easy target in high school. The quiet girl with precisely 2 outfits that she rotated throughout the week, who brought leftover rice and vegetables for lunch while everyone else bought pizza, who studied in the library during football games because she couldn't afford the ticket. She'd been brilliant. Sure, but brilliance didn't matter when you couldn't afford homecoming or didn't know the difference between Gucci and Gap. The committee had debated whether to even invite her. Then Jessica had a better idea. Invite her, let her see how far everyone else had come, and share a private laugh about wherever she'd ended up. Maybe managing a mall kiosk, maybe still taking night classes at community college. The cruelty was the point. At 7:15, a distant thumping sound grew louder. Conversations faltered as the noise intensified, rattling the French doors that opened onto the manicured lawn. Someone screamed as a helicopter, sleek, black, and decidedly expensive, descended onto the grass, its rotors whipping the carefully arranged centerpieces into chaos. The music stopped. 300 people pressed against the windows. The helicopter door opened and a woman emerged in an elegant navy suit, her hair pulled back simply, carrying nothing but a worn leather messenger bag. Sarah Chen had arrived. The crowd parted as she entered the ballroom, their expressions a mixture of shock and confusion. Jessica felt her stomach drop. This wasn't the script. This wasn't how it was supposed to go. "Hi, everyone," Sarah said quietly, her voice carrying the same gentle tone they remembered, untouched by arrogance despite her dramatic entrance. "Sorry I'm late. I was in Seattle this morning." Brad found his voice first. "That's quite an entrance, Sarah, trying to impress us?" His words dripped with skepticism, as if waiting for the reveal that she'd rented the helicopter as a desperate bid for approval. Sarah smiled, but it didn't reach her eyes. "Actually, I need to leave in an hour. I'm meeting someone important." She glanced around the room, at the faces that had once made her feel invisible, worthless, less than. "But I wanted to come. I wanted to see you all." The questions came rapid fire. Where was she living? What did she do? Was she married? "I run a nonprofit," Sarah said simply. "We build schools and medical clinics in underserved communities. 23 countries so far. We're opening our 4th hospital in rural Kentucky next month." The room fell silent. "This wasn't computing. Nonprofits didn't come with helicopters." "My family made money in tech," Sarah continued, her voice steady. "My parents sold their company in 2015. We were poor when I was in high school because they'd invested everything into their startup. Every dollar. After graduation, when it finally succeeded, they gave most of it away. They taught me that wealth isn't meant to be hoarded. It's meant to heal." Jessica felt tears prick her eyes, but not from joy, from shame, from the sudden, crushing weight of understanding. "I know why you invited me," Sarah said quietly, looking directly at Jessica. "I saw the group chat. My assistant monitors my social media for security purposes. She showed me the screenshots." The oxygen seemed to leave the room. Brad's face turned crimson. Others looked at their shoes, their drinks, anywhere but at Sarah. "You wanted to mock me," Sarah continued, "to feel better about yourselves by seeing me fail. And I get it. High school Sarah was an easy target. I wore the same clothes because we were barely making rent. I studied during games because I couldn't afford to go. I brought rice from home because lunch money meant my little brother didn't eat. Tears streamed down several faces now. Not Sarah's, everyone else's. But here's what you didn't know. Sarah's voice softened. Every single day of high school, when you laughed at my clothes or whispered about my lunch, I went home and my mother held me while I cried. And then she'd say, "Remember this feeling, Sarah. Remember it so you'll recognize it in others. Remember it so you'll spend your life making sure no one else has to feel this way." She reached into her messenger bag and pulled out a folder. "So yes, I came in a helicopter. Not to impress you, but because I'm flying to Kentucky tonight to meet with a 16-year-old girl who just lost her mother to preventable illness. Our new clinic might have saved her mom, but it didn't open in time. Now I'm going to sit with this girl and tell her we're going to fund her entire education. I'm going to make sure she doesn't have to choose between lunch, money, and textbooks. That she doesn't have to be humiliated for being poor." Sarah placed the folder on the nearest table. "These are scholarship applications for the Chen Foundation. We fund education for underprivileged students. Full ride, no strings attached. I brought them because I thought maybe some of you have children, nieces, nephews, or no kids who need help. Because despite everything, I don't believe in revenge. I believe in breaking cycles." The silence was deafening. Then Marcus Williams, who'd been on the basketball team and had never joined in the teasing, but had never stopped it either, stepped forward. "Sarah, we were terrible to you. I'm sorry. I'm so deeply sorry." Others echoed his words, a chorus of apologies that came 10 years too late. "I forgive you," Sarah said simply. "I forgave you years ago." Holding on to anger would have poisoned the work I meant to do. But forgiveness doesn't mean I've forgotten. It means I chose to become something better than my pain. Jessica approached slowly, mascara streaking her face. "I organized this. I wanted to hurt you. I don't know how to... I don't deserve..." "You don't," Sarah agreed. "But I'm going to help you anyway, because that's what humanity looks like. It's not about what people deserve, it's about what they need. And what you need is to learn what I learned. That cruelty comes from insecurity. And the only way to heal it is through compassion. Even when it's hard, especially when it's hard." She checked her watch. "I have to go. But I'm leaving these applications and my emails on them. If you know someone who needs help, reach out. And if you want to volunteer, we always need people. Not your money, your time. Your hands, your willingness to see people as human beings who deserve dignity." As Sarah walked toward the door, a strange thing happened. One by one, people began to stand. Not to applaud. That would have been too easy, too self-congratulatory. They stood in silence, bearing witness to their own smallness and her immeasurable grace. At the threshold, Sarah turned back. "By the way, the girl I'm meeting tonight? Her name is Emily. She wears the same 2 outfits every week. She brings rice from home for lunch. And when I sit with her tonight, I'm going to tell her what my mother told me. This feeling you have right now, remember it. Let it make you kinder. Let it make you brave. Let it make you someone who lifts others up instead of tearing them down." The helicopter lifted off, disappearing into the twilight, leaving behind a ballroom full of people who'd arrived thinking they were successful and were departing knowing they'd barely begun to understand what success meant. Jessica picked up the folder Sarah had left behind. Inside were scholarship forms, but also a handwritten note. "If any of you want to join the work of healing the world instead of hurting it, there's always room. It's never too late to choose kindness." The party continued, but something fundamental had shifted. Conversations turned from bragging to honest reflection. Phone numbers were exchanged not for networking, but for genuine connection. And by the end of the night, 17 people had filled out volunteer applications for the Chen Foundation. Sarah Chen never sought revenge on the people who'd tried to humiliate her. She simply showed them what they could become if they chose humanity over cruelty, compassion over mockery, and purpose over pride. And in doing so, she gave them something far more valuable than vindication. She gave them the chance to transform their own lives by serving others. The true measure of success, they learned that night, isn't counted in helicopters or designer clothes. It's measured in lives touched, pain healed, and the courage to meet cruelty with grace. Sarah hadn't just risen above her circumstances. She'd built a ladder for others to climb, extending a hand even to those who'd once pushed her down. That's the power of humanity. It changes everything, most of all ourselves.